All right, welcome, Lauren. It's great to have you. How are you?
It's good to be here. I'm great.
Awesome. Awesome. And so tell us a little bit about where you live and what you do now.
Yeah. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I'm a senior producer and development executive for a sports media company that makes a lot, does both like commercial production for companies like Nike, and also does like original IP development for athletes, teams, and leagues. So, like developing TV shows and documentaries alongside of folks in the sports world.
That's incredible. And when did you start or when did you work for April Lane's Home Cleaning? I know it's been a while.
I worked at April Lane's uh, about 10 years ago for, I think, 3 years. Does that sound right?
Yeah. That sounds
I
about
think
right.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
moved to LA 10 years ago, and April Lanes was where I worked right up until I moved. So about 10 years ago, a little less than that, and for about 3 years total.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had various job experiences, career experiences in your life. What were I guess just first of all, what was your experience working at April Lanes?
I loved working at April Lanes. It was great. I think that I have always been pretty ambitious and uh, forward thinking in my career. And up until I worked at April Lanes, I had always been in like pretty, I mean, I was young. So my jobs had been like customer service, retail, um, like food and bev, um, like entry level hourly positions, which I think you learn a ton from. I don't like disparage that work at all. And I started working when I was like 15 and uh,
Yeah.
but I think coming to April Lanes was a big change from the the sort of grind of like, okay, I get my schedule like a couple days in advance and I show up and I clock in and I get a little 15-minute break and I have the same repetitive tasks I have to do all day. And I think for somebody, uh, I think like ambitious and driven and high performing and like self-directed like myself, those jobs got really tedious for me really fast. And April Lanes was such a different experience and such a breath of fresh air because I think people who are have like high accountability and uh, are like good self managers are put in a position to like really thrive and kind of make what they build what they want from their career there. I was like being able to, it's not exactly like set your own schedule, but kind of control your destiny as far as like how um, high quality and efficiently you want to and are able to work, um, was new for me and really like created a core value system for me and what I would look for in jobs after that.
Yeah.
And there's like a high level of trust placed into you in that job that like you're going to get your work done and get it done well and be where you need to be when you're supposed to be there. And it's a high level of trust from that perspective from the company, but also a high level of trust from your clients, obviously, because you're in their home and you're in their stuff and that's like
Yeah.
pretty intimate. And I think the I always felt like really fairly and properly rewarded for honoring the trust that like the company and the clients put in me during my time there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. That is such a huge component of it, right? It is. It's trust. And yes, from like a client to company perspective, that's of course so important. And I like how you mentioned that even just your the trust to have that between you and your employer, right? For your employer to entrust you with that, for you to feel like you get to take ownership, and there's just this great dynamic of lifting each other up, and all of that. I just think is a beautiful way of thinking about it, and not talked about enough with employees and organizations.
Yeah.
In your experience, what was unique? I think you spoke to this a little bit already. What was unique about April Lanes compared to places you worked at before, places you worked at after? Anything in particular that stands out to you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that for, obviously I'm like 10 years further down the road in my career and I work in like a very different world now. But I think that for for people who are maybe like newer in their professional career, um, April Lanes is unique in the level of autonomy that their employees are like honored with. That I don't think that I really found again till I got like much more senior in my career, where you start getting those jobs where you're like, I'm on salary and I work really hard when I need to, and you're not going to hear from me when I don't, like that. And it's not quite that like, CEO level autonomy, of
Yeah.
course, but like for somebody who was like young and new in my career, that um, that level of trust that I was speaking about, to really like take ownership of your day and the work that you're doing, and you don't have like a boss breathing down your neck, um, was really unique. And I think for people that are high integrity and high performing anyway, they like really thrive in that
Yes.
environment. They really, high performers thrive when they're not micromanaged, and that uh, I think was really special. I think beyond that too, um, I think April has a real creative and entrepreneurial eye for talent, and she, I think she's always looking for ways to push and create opportunity within her company and for her team. And so I know that, like, for me individually, after I had been at the company for a while and I think like shown some of what I'm like passionate about or skilled at outside of just like the actual nuts and bolts of being a house cleaner, um, April was really excited to be like, hey, I have these ideas about marketing and training programs. Like, is that something that you would want to take on? And so I was also like given opportunities to like grow and learn new things and try new things for the benefit of the company outside of like the job description that I was hired for, which is also, you always want that in any job, right? But it
Yeah.
actually is unique. Once you've had a few jobs, you realize that like not every boss is development minded for their talent in the way that I think April is. And I think she, it's obviously it's a smart business owner who can like find ways to improve and push their business forward in a way that um, also helps push their staff forward as individuals and like help them grow and achieve the professional and personal dreams that they're looking for. Um, I wish it wasn't unique. I wish every boss was like that, but I think
Yeah,
it is unique. And
totally.
it was a really, I think, formative experience for me early in my career to like have a boss see that in me and foster it in me.
Yes, 100%. I love that. Yeah, the having a boss that's already proactively thinking about developing their staff is really rare, right? And I love how you spoke about the trust piece. Like, couldn't have said it better. It's so important. And how do you feel like, do you feel like April Lane's Home Cleaning grew you or supported you in other areas of your life? And if so, how?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think the straightforward answer is kind of what I was talking about there, where I got it was like that first foray as a young person early in my career of like coming off of like frontline customer service and getting to do like a little bit more senior, like strategic work that really like set me up well for where my career would go next. My my next to have like just customer service entry level job, April Lane's, getting to grow there. Like my next job after that was like a marketing manager salary position. It was like a big jump professionally. And I was like set up for that through the experience and opportunities that I was given at April Lane's. Um, I think also outside of that, the sort of like a little bit more intangible way is I've also uh like a creative artist, and that's like in my work more what I do now at this point around like creative development and production. But at the time I was also running a theater company with people that I had graduated from art school with. And I think that that autonomy of like being able to work efficiently and like, you know, forecast what my week was going to look like, forecast what my day was going to look like, and was it helped me create space in my life to do the things that enriched my life outside of work.
Yes.
And that's so that's so hard to do, I think, for a lot of people in um I think like blue collar work in general, and I've done like plenty of that. I think often you are in those positions, you're like at the mercy of on call shifts where you're not quite sure if you're going to work or not. You're at the mercy of like schedules coming out late, uh, you know, hours getting cut. Like that happens so much like in the restaurant industry and that kind of thing, where it's you sort of trade like flexibility for autonomy. And like,
Mm,
I think that, and that's makes it hard for folks in careers like that to have passions outside of work. You end up kind of like chained to your shift in many ways. And I think it's really important and powerful for people, no matter where they are professionally, to have outlets outside of work that are like enriching and refreshing. And I appreciate that the way that April Lanes is run and the way that you are empowered as an employee, like really creates that space if you want to make it.
amazing. Yeah. What was your experience like with the clients? I mean, you worked there for a few years. You probably had lots of clients that you grew to know well. And what was that
Yeah.
like?
I still remember. I think about them often. It's funny. You're in those houses so much. Like I will still, even to this day, like have dreams that take place in some of my clients' houses. I'm like, oh yeah, that lady's house, and she had a harp, and like this person, and oh, I remember that. That like funny thing in the drawer that always, it's
Yeah.
you really like. Uh, I had one set of clients that I think I cleaned for almost all 3 years that I worked for, like, and they had like a pretty like a young baby, maybe like around one when I first started cleaning for them, and like watching the pictures in the house change as she got older, and she started like once she got old enough, she would like leave me pictures in her little playroom every time I came
Oh,
and cleaned and stuff like that, and um, you really it's it's very intimate to be in somebody's home, and to like you know to allow somebody into your home and to like see your mess is intimate and vulnerable, and I think that um people the clients like really I always felt very appreciated and like very warmly welcomed, even for folks who I cleaned for years and never actually met because they were always at work when I was there. Like you get
hmm,
such kind notes from people, and you feel appreciated. And April Lane's clients, I think, were always like effusive with um like friendly constructive criticism and like praise and appreciation for your work, and that always got like reflected back to us as employees. And so I always felt like really appreciated and acknowledged by my clients. I mean, the, so many clients would tell you like you've saved our marriage. We were like fighting relentlessly until we hired you
wow.
guys, and like this is the thing that like we couldn't figure out how to crack, and now it's just not a problem anymore. And it's I think people maybe like underestimate how important like having your home be like a sanctuary, and like how your space impacts like your exterior space impacts your like interior life. And um
Hmm.
I just I like remember my clients like very fondly, and always felt like they were it's it's fun to be the person where like a family or a couple or a person is like, oh my God, the day that that person comes into my house is the best day of the week.
Yeah.
And you always feel that way. They're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here.
Yes. Yes. I love that so, so much. Yeah. Really amazing relationships get to be formed, even if they're not forever, right?
Yeah.
And what was your experience? I know some people are coming from workplaces where maybe they've um, just gone, like they've noticed drama with coworkers and they've had those kind of experiences. And I'm curious what your experience was like with coworkers, with the management, with different people working at April Lanes.
I honestly remember no drama.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, a little bit, just logistically speaking, like most of the time you work by yourself. And maybe
Yeah.
like a few times a week you're in like a group cleaning where you spend like a couple hours with a couple other people. But um there's so much consistency with like training and like how the job is done, and it's the caliber of people who would like come to April Lanes and stay at April Lanes. I felt like my peers all felt pretty like-minded. So it I can't remember a time like going into a group cleaning or something like that where like everybody had very different opinions on how to like tackle the work. It was just like, okay, we're here, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're all like working off the same
Yeah.
set of plans and mindset, and it always felt very collaborative. Um, for sure, always felt like very supported by the folks in the office. You know, you, Samara, obviously, like building schedules in a way that makes sense and being responsive when like some like a key doesn't work, or like, you know, something broke and we need to deal with it. Like that, I never felt like hung out to dry, or like I didn't have the support I needed to like solve problems when they came up. And I think that like as, you know, new products came out or processes changed, it always seemed like it was always very like straightforward and like well communicated out to the staff. The like morning staff meetings every week where like everyone would have breakfast together and like do kudos and stuff always felt, even though it was like crack of dawn, everybody's like half asleep. Always felt like
7:30. Yeah.
very communal and friendly, and like a really nice way to like start the day. And you know, I work remotely now. I work from home, and um, so I know that when you generally work independently, it can sometimes feel like lonely, or like I don't, who even are my coworkers? I only, you know, see them once in a while. And I think there is always like a really like a big emphasis put on fostering relationship. Like, you know, our happy hours that we would do like regularly, or like, you know, the Christmas party was always, or a holiday party was such a like highlight. I feel like I really knew my coworkers, and I had friends that were my coworkers at April Lanes, even though for the most part, like I didn't work with them on a day to day basis, but
Yeah.
like chatted and knew them and were friends with them, and like made a point to see them and hang out with them at like activities outside of our work. And I just always had like a high level of respect and enjoyment for everybody I worked with. It was a very, very low drama environment.
Yeah. Incredible. I love that. Has your, or did your, after leaving April Lanes, like, did your general outlook or expectations about employers or workplaces after that, did that change at all? Did that affect how you saw the workplace or
I
working
think
for
so.
others?
I think it raised my expectations. I think when you have an experience where it's clear that um, you can run a successful business without micromanaging your team. You can have a successful business where your employees have autonomy and uh, are given like a high level of independence and trust, that kind of thing. When you go somewhere that's not work, like doesn't work like that, it's like you you can't square it. Like my standards are higher. Like I know
Yeah.
that this can be done. Like you don't need to, you know, be suspicious of your staff, or like have weird petty drama, or like um or a workplace where it's just like, hey, just come in and do the job we hired you for. Like it's clear that um your growth or like next steps is like not high priority to the company. Like once you've had it, it's like impossible. You don't ever want to go back. So I think it made
Yeah.
my standards high, and it was. I think it's made me like a stronger employee who like expects a lot of my management, and like in turn will um like give a really high level of productivity. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If someone is listening to this and curious about working at April Lanes or interested in thinking about working at April Lanes, what might they expect? What might you want them to know?
Um, the first thing that comes to mind, because I think that it's it's sadly like less common in my experience than I think it should be, is you're gonna get really good training. I think what's cool about April Lanes is the work that you do after is like skilled work, but it's skilled work that you can come in with no experience in. And as long
Right.
as you are like happy to learn, uh, you will get all the skills that you need on the job. And I think that's special. It's not a place where it's like, okay, like here's all the stuff you need, here's your schedule, go figure it out, we're gonna throw you in. The like care taken to uh, training and making sure that you have the skills and tools you need to do the job really well is like really important, and I think like shows in how long people stay there and how happy clients are, how long term clients are, because they know that like the caliber of work is always going to be really consistent. So I think that's cool. If you're, it's not a given that you will start a new job and feel like you really got what you needed to excel there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a given at April Lanes that you will. Um, so I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't worked there in 10 years. I'm sure there are things that are different but at the end of the day, like I think that I know that April is a business owner who is compassionate and thoughtful about uh, her staff and her clients and the decisions she makes that impacts all of those people. And I know that that is her character. And so, regardless of if like the clients change or the way the schedules get rolled out or like what tools you might use change over the years to like keep up with current best practices or whatever, I know that at the root of the company, like the person running it and making decisions is somebody of like really high character and high integrity who's like incredibly thoughtful about how her business and the way that she runs it like impacts everybody that it touches. And that's really important.
That is so, so, so important. And yeah, and I can personally attest that I've been up close and personal with April Lane's home cleaning now, and all those things you say are more true than ever. So I think that says a
I
lot.
would
And the
imagine
company's
that
been
would be the
around,
case.
yeah, it's been around for so many decades that like um, it's a smooth ship. So I love that. Love that, Lauren. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. Is there anything else? I feel like you've covered so much and this has been so, so helpful, but any last words?
Oh man, I just if you have a chance to work at April Lanes and you're deciding between like, oh, should I like go take this restaurant job or should I like go work, you know, whatever front desk somewhere or this, I don't know why you wouldn't choose this. It was a really, really positive, formative experience. I was in the best shape of my life. uh,
Yeah.
I got to know Seattle really well. I could drive anywhere. I know how all the roads connect to each other, like
Yeah.
pre Google Maps days. um, I seriously, like, I can't think of a downside. It was a really, really positive work experience, and I loved my time there. And obviously, 10 years later, I'm still great friends with you, and you and April were both at my wedding this year. So,
Yeah.
the ties run deep. It's a really good place run by good people, and I really was happy with my time there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. We don't really let anyone go when they go. We just love our, like, April loves her staff so much.
Yeah. Yep. I
Love
really
that.
felt that.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on.
For sure.
Okay.